greetings, and this is kind of a monstrous LGR thing. This is the NEC Multispin 4XC Quad Speed External CD-ROM Changer. And this holds 7 CDs inside of one beefy piece of 90s hardware. This is the model number CDR-C302 and was released at a suggested retail price of $350 US in the summer of 1995. This is something I have wanted to mess with ever since I was a kid and saw them in various electronics stores. I mean, at the time, I didn't even have a CD-ROM, so the fact that there were these gigantic CD-ROM changers, talk about forbidden fruit, holy grail kind of material, at least for 10-year-old me. Now sure, audio CD changers are nothing special. In fact, every time I go thrifting, I'm seeing all sorts of different CD changers, like those that load from cartridges and have gigantic spindles where you can fit hundreds of CDs like these from Pioneer, or even those with spinning trays. But a CD-ROM changer, now that is not as common, at least in my experience. I don't know, I just didn't see these as much. I've never used one of these external ones, and it's not to say any of these things are rare necessarily, but they're not the most immediate thing that you might go for if you're wanting to install a CD-ROM on your retro computer nowadays. I mean, seriously, this is just silly. However, silly 90s hardware is kind of my forte, and even though I don't cover them super often, so are CD-ROM games with tons of CDs in the box. Games like Black Dahlia, Ripper, and Phantasmagoria pretty much sold themselves on being multi-disc games. Phantasmagoria in particular is the one that comes to mind with this because the game was famous for having 7 discs. Let's go ahead and get this brand new one unboxed because yeah, it's still sealed. I happily bought this quite a while ago on eBay and I was just like, one of these days I'll get around to it. And this is that day. Oh yeah. Alright, got some more information here. It does store up to 7 CD-ROMs, and look at all these other things. This is a quad speed unit, by the way, and it uses SCSI 2 to connect. They did release, NEC that is, released a whole bunch of these different disc changers like this for PCs back in the day, and this just happens to be the largest one that I'm aware of, so that's why I wanted it. Oh, that's a that's a comforting note. Look at this. Caution, use of control of adjustments or performance of procedures other than those specified herein may result in hazardous radiation exposure. I mean, all right. We got some cables here. It's a SCSI cable, 50 pin. It looks like SCSI 2. We got a power cable and the drive itself. Look how neatly that is taped up. Man, it's like a gift wrapped present. Whoa, look at that. It looks so good. That is a fine looking piece of hardware. Brand new, not yellowed at all, which is great. I was wondering if it would hold up nicely. This part feels like painted metal. This plastic on front could very well yellowed. I've seen some yellowed units online. This one didn't. Oh yeah. This just screams greatness. I don't know, something about these industrially designed kind of CD-ROM units. It reminded me of much older CD-ROMs. This was manufactured in June 1995. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's awesome. Little rubbery buttons. They feel okay. Volume wheel there. 3.5mm audio jack for headphones. I cannot wait to use this. I've got a note here on some very neon paper. Attention, read me first. Let's see, what do we got? Some notes here from Macintosh Quadra users, other Macintosh users, and Corel SCSI 2 diskette does some things that don't really seem to pertain to me. All right, well I'm not going to be installing this on a Macintosh. We're going to be going with Windows 98 because I want to. Actually, maybe Windows 95, I don't know yet. This is cool. Oh, what is all this? Oh, that has pretty much lost every, yep. That's just a very gummy rubber band. Even after 23 years, those can perish. Apparently their own interface didn't have the 50-pin high-density connector, which is my Adaptec card does have that. So let's see here. Macintosh driver on a disk. Got a warranty card here, or really registration card for warranty and other such things. This is an interesting form factor for instructions. It's more like a calendar. Okay, so Windows drivers are installed through the Corel driver kit. Okay, well. Aha. I feel a disc in here. Corel SCSI version 2. There we go. A very nondescript 3.5-inch high-density floppy diskette right here. Welcome to Corel SCSI. You can use virtually any SCSI device and ASCII-compatible host adapter with Corel SCSI. What is this? We got a mounting plate or something? No. This is an adapter. Aha. Inside of the bag, we get a smaller bag. And inside the smaller bag, a 3-inch CD-ROM adapter. How handy. It did say we would need one of those in order to use them in here, so I'm glad it came with that. I gotta see what's inside this, though. It's just so large. Let's see what we got here. Well, it's so colorful. Wow. It's a very pretty internal set of goods here, even though we're not really seeing a whole lot. How appealing. Well, all right. Well, that's that. Let's go ahead and get this installed into the, or connected to the Lazy Green Giant Windows 98 PC and see what happens. So as far as getting this connected, well, it's just a matter of plugging in SCSI cable to both sides. And I'm needing to use one of my other cables because the one it came with does not have the proper 50-pin connector on the other side to plug into the PC, but that's okay. All the feature selection switches should be in the correct spots for what we're going to be doing. So the termination is on, parity check is on, SCSI ID number is default, power goes right here, got the correct voltage of course, and I decided to go with Windows 95. So I've got that, wow, got that on SD card right there, so that's going to go right there. Just curious if I can power on the drive before powering the PC. Let's see here. Well, that was quite an assortment of sounds. So yeah, you just press the button, it will eject the inner tray out into the actual ejection tray thing. And then you can press another one and it'll swap the inner tray part, and there we go. Yeah, a nice little labeling right there. I was wondering how that handled things. All right, well, let's try some games out. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. All right, power it all on. That's a good sign, I guess. And it is detected. Yeah, Windows 95. So, first order of business is get this Corel software installed, I suppose. Although it might have detected something already, hopefully. Yeah. It has 7 individual CD drives. Okay, let's get this disk going, see what we get. This looks ridiculous. Come on now. This appears to be largely for getting this to work under DOS mode. I don't know. Let's just try it without doing anything else. So I'm just going to try a single CD-ROM game at the moment. I'm going to go with StarCraft. Yeah. Okay. Well, no auto run, so just try to refresh, see what happens. Absolutely nothing. So, chances are we do need that software. Load it into high memory, why not? Okay, it just restarted and the drive started doing crazy things. So, still got nothing. Yeah, I don't know. Reinstalled it, following all the instructions in the manual. Nothing. So I'm going to try Windows 98. Rather annoyingly, a lot of the stuff it's referring to in here does not come on the disk at all. Alright, once again we have these 7 drives detected. Not accessible. Alright, so I've got the LGR Woodgrain 486 going over here since Windows was not having fun with this drive. And I don't know if you saw that, but the SCSI adapter installed will actually automatically see this as the other one did, but, and this is what I'm going to be using to get the drive working, this Easy SCSI Standard Edition. Thank goodness for things like this. Honestly, this is going to be way easier, at least if it works with this drive. It should. It has in my experience with other external CD drives. Yeah, there's the host adapter. It found that on port 340H, and now it's going to be scanning for anything plugged into it, which it has seen this, which is good. That's a good sign. Now, here we go. What is the first drive letter you would like Easy Scuzzy to reserve for your CD-ROM drive? So I'm going to start with... actually, I'm gonna go with E, because I have an internal drive as well, so we're going to start there. Make all the mods for me. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Okay. And we'll go ahead and restart. Haha. Yep. So we've got 7 targets. And yes, awesome, awesome, awesome. So it is assigned drive letters to each of the 7 individual drives here. And I've still got Gravis ultrasound stuff. Let me go ahead and change that really quick because we don't have a Gravis ultrasound installed. At this point, we should just be able to stick all of these CDs in here. There's the disc 1. And there's disc 2. And here's disc 3. Number 4. Yeah, it's looking better. Got the Sound Blaster Pro going now. So we will have sound. Disc 5. This ridiculous process. Disc 6. Oh my goodness. Finally, disc friggin' 7. There we go. We've got all 7 discs of Phantasmagoria installed. So we should just be able to go over to each individual drive by letter, starting with E, and this will be disc 1. So it'll switch over to that and read slowly. And there we go. It's actually not terribly slow. I mean, it is a quad speed drive running over SCSI 2, so it should be relatively quick. But yeah, switching is a bit of an ordeal because, of course, it has to physically take something from that internal caddy and move it out into this loading tray up to the laser, and then there we go. So that's disc 2, and then G, of course, would be disc 3, and so on, all the way through the alphabet up to disc 7. This does lead to a bit of a limitation in the sense that we're not going to be able to physically move one disc internally from, say, like if we wanted to move disc 4 over to drive 1 or, you know, the E drive. We can't do that. It's disc 1 is always going to be E. So it depends on the software, really. Let's just go ahead and load up Phantasmagoria here and see. Straightforward installation for this. It's only needing disc 1 in order to do that. So we're going to actually have to run the game and... What is the... Sierra / Scary DOS? I've never actually seen the DOS version of Phantasmagoria installer folder. That's that's wonderful. What a game. Such dramatics. I'm gonna go ahead and start a new game here and get to the chapter selection screen. So if we just started with 1, it'll continue on. Each chapter is on each disc. So let's just skip the chapter 2 and see if it'll figure out that. No, it doesn't. You know, I kind of suspected that just due to what I knew about the way that this works internally. In fact, I think it was on the box. All right, so you can kind of see here, there are these trays in the back that each one of the CDs is inserted to whenever you insert it into the drive, but then this actual loading tray will go and retrieve one of the discs and bring it up to the laser. The thing is, it only does that whenever you're doing the eject and, you know, insertion process. So in order for me to get CD2 to this game to be able to read it, I'm going to have to physically swap it over, which completely defeats the purpose of having all of these like multi-disc games on a multi-CD-ROM changer like this. You know, if they had some sort of other mechanism which would actually take the CD and then move it over to the laser assembly so it would read it from the same drive letter, then that would be ideal for FMV games, multi-disc games like this that just swap out and don't actually ask for another drive letter. Since this is looking for the same drive letter every single time a disc swap occurs, then we're stuck with this limitation. All right, let's get to some acting.
In here, in the bedroom.
What are you doing?
Role-playing, gosh.
Well, I'm starting my new book.
So what? Did you go buy the drain cleaner?
The drain cleaner. Oh, this is a great scene.
What? Drain cleaner?
And by great, I mean
Don't
terrible.
be coy with me. I asked you several times to go buy me drain cleaner. Now, did you do it?
I know you said the sink was clogged in your darkroom, but you never asked me to go get you any drain cleaner. I would have remembered.
Oh, it's just the most endearing kind of terrible. Yeah, put your laptop away. You can check your AOL email address later. You don't have mail. Most unfortunate that I'm not going to be able to actually play through this. I mean, I could. I would just have to physically swap the disc out like a caveman. Like, what's the point of that? Honestly, I didn't even think about that when I picked this one out online. I just remember seeing it back in the day, saw it show up on eBay, and didn't even think about it. I'm like, holy crap, that's great. I want this thing. And plus it looks neat, doesn't it? Like, it just looks great. But for multi-disc games, it's kind of pointless. At least if it's a game like this that is going to look in the same exact drive designation every single time it's swapping a disc. So if anybody has any recommendations of like a retro drive that would accomplish this, I mean, I know of a few myself, but if you used one back in the day, do let me know. I would appreciate any kind of recommendations, because honestly, I would love to get like a 6 or 7 disc changer that actually lets me swap between those and keep the disc in the same drive letter every single time it swaps discs. Kind of a shame we couldn't get it working in Windows, but we'd be in the same boat anyway. It works the same either operating system. But hopefully you still had fun with the unboxing and setup and everything else that we were doing. I enjoy it anyway, and if you did, perhaps you'd like to stick around. There are new videos every week here on LGR. And as always, thank you very much for watching.